Hey, ladies and gents, it's Zemback, and I have a new microphone. So you guys are wondering, what the fuck is wrong with his voice? Yeah, I got a new microphone. My two sons decided to hit the other one with a plastic sword and broke into pieces. And it's the problem with having children. You can't have anything nice. So, new mic. This has a sound buffer cancellation thingy on the mic, so you're not supposed to be able to hear me breathe. That kind of thing. So tell me how you think of it. See if you guys can hear it better, or if I just sound like a little girl. One or the other. So we are on to the Tier 8, my most favorite tank, Jadgpanther 2. And honestly, this is my most favorite tank of all time. I played almost 4,000. This is my most played tank. Almost 4,000 games, hence why I have 76% on a 6-skill crew with this thing. This is one of those tanks, and I'm a big fan of these tanks that you can play multiple roles with it. T10 is a heavy medium, E50 is a medium heavy, Jadgpanther is a TD / medium tank, and this thing just fits my playstyle so well. Like I said, almost 4,000 games into it, and I prefer this TD over even the Scorpion. Scorpion is weak as fuck against HE. This thing can take a beating and keep on ticking. So, history of this tank. Well, okay, so we know wargaming has a tendency to kind of maybe half-ass get some of the historical tanks involved here, and this is a blueprint tank, of course, but it's got kind of a funny little history, and this has to go back to the whole design concepts of the German military. During World War II when it came to tank destroyers. One, because a lot of times they were going with the tank destroyers because they were cheaper to build, they were much easier to build themselves. I mean, obviously they were less complicated than a Turret tank, and they could field large numbers of these compared to regular tanks. Hence why you had the Stug, which was one of the most produced tanks in World War II. Also, one of the Stug 2 or Stug 3 killed more enemy tanks than all the rest of the German tanks combined. But we won't get into the history of the Stug. But my point is, there was kind of two design concepts of the German TDs at the time. There was the purpose-built TDs, and then there was the whatever the fuck we got laying around, let's put a gun on it. Okay? And most of the time that was the case, and at least in the early part of the World War II, is because they were kind of a stopgap measure to deal with whatever the fuck they were running into. For example, in the France, when they got to Russia, look at all those T-34s, right? We have nothing that can, effectively deal with them. So you saw a lot of essentially hacking going on. They took whatever was laying around. They took, the chassis of the PZ3s, PZ4s. One of the even more notorious ones, this one right here, the premium. The premium French TD. This is actually a German hack job. Just cut the top off the tank, and we'll weld some fucking plating around the outside, and then put a big ass gun on the top. Yeah, that was. And of course, when you look at the Martyr 2, same thing. This was a Czechoslovakian chassis with just some metal shit welded on the top of it. And they put a big ass gun on it, which that gun would never fit on the turret of the tank that was actually, but this is their, whatever the fuck was laying around, we'll chop the turret off, we'll put a big ass gun on the top of it, we'll fucking, weld this, we'll weld that, and we'll make it work. And that was some of the design concept, and then that even carried on further into the war with some of the Waffenträgers, the PZ4 Waffenträger, that kind of thing, the Rheinmetall. They weren't, they were purpose built, but they were very minimal purpose built. They were just essentially chopping off the turrets and then sticking a big-ass gun somewhere on that tank to make it work. Even the Ferdinand, which, if anybody didn't know this, Ferdinand Porsche was in the competition for the heavy tank. There was the Tiger 1, and he built what was called the Tiger P. When they got done, his tank lost, and he had all these fucking holes laying around. He was like, well, what am I going to do with these? So we'll just weld a big compartment to the top of our Tiger tank, and we'll put a big 88 millimeter gun on it, and there we go. That's how we get the Ferdinand. However, a little later in the war, by 1940-41, they're like, well, let's do a little bit more purpose building, and we start off with more along the lines of the Stug, which is of course a PZ3 chassis with a purpose-built compartment for a long 75 millimeter. And most of the time they did this because one real big reason is because of the bigger the guns got, the bigger the breeches got. The turret rings, the turrets on the existing tanks could not handle the guns of that size, so it was just easier to take the turret off and stick it into the hull, or in this case, they just built a actual structure for the gun. The Hetzer was another one, purpose built, but they used the chassis of a Czechoslovakian tank, and then from there, but purpose built. I mean, and that's the same thing with the Stug 3, purpose built. They continued on with the Jagdpanther 4, purpose built. This was, of course, off a PZ4, and then eventually on to the Jagdpanther, and of course, this was mounted on a Panther hull, and then of course on to the big and massive, beautiful J Tiger, which is off the King Tiger 2 chassis with a large casemate welded onto the top to mount the massive 128 millimeter cannon. What does this have to do with the JP2? Well, I'm just kind of showing you the design process. Every time they had a chassis laying around, they wanted to put a gun on it, anti-tank gun, especially toward the end of the war. And these tanks and these TDs became more purpose-built. The JP2, which is kind of an oddball, kind of predates the Jagdpanther. All right, this was a design concept. This actually reached production, but they wanted to mount a bigger gun on the Panther chassis. They couldn't fit the 88 inside the Panther turret at the time. The breech was too big, the turret ring was too small, turret was too small, couldn't handle the 88. So let's chop the turret off. Let's put a casemate on it. And then we'll mount the big 88 in the Panther in the Jadgpanther hull. However, before this came into production, there had been an idea to use a larger 128 millimeter on the Panther hull, but I shouldn't say that. Not a 128, but an 88, but use it on a Panther 2 hull. The Panther 2 hull was going to be in a more heavily armored hull, and they wanted to put a 88 millimeter gun on it. However, the Panther 2 got canceled, I believe, in 1943, and that design concept just stopped using the Panther 2 hull because obviously Jadgpanther 1944, using just the Panther hull, they put the 88 on that. So, but then that's where it kind of gets kind of tricky here. Krupp in 1944 came up with, and this actually did exist in drawings, the concept of putting a 128 millimeter on a Panther 1 hull, not a Panther 2 hull. Unlike the name, it says Jagdpanther 2. This would have been built along with the Jagdpanther, both on Panther hulls, one having the 88 and one having the 128. So the blueprint actually did exist for this. This was a Krupp design, November 1944. They put this out. However, Hilary Doyle, if you don't know who he is, he's like the fucking tank god of German armor from World War II. Probably said this thing would have worked because it would have been at least 51 tons minimum. And it would have been just too heavy for what they were trying to do. So, Jagdpanther 2, kind of, sort of, maybe half-assed historical. Obviously it's still a paper tank, but yeah, it did kind of exist. So, what do we get in game with the mighty Jagdpanther 2? We get 490 average damage per shot, 246 average penetration. Oh my, 6 rounds per minute, 9.66 reload time, and these numbers are going to be fucking skewed because this is my best crew in here, and I don't play with anything but this crew in this tank because this thing makes it so fucking epic. 6.5 degrees of gun depression, so it's a little bit less than some of the other TDs at that at tier 8 for the Germans, but it's definitely something you can work with. 10 for the traverse limits, 2.11 for the aim time, 0.32 for the dispersion, and a whopping 3,000 average damage per minute, 1,150 1150 for hit points, and 160/40 on the hull and the upper casement. Now, what's interesting is most people don't realize is that this thing, hull down, is better armored than a Ferdinand. With this unreasonably, this is actually 150 millimeters, I do believe. This is actually 100. This is 60, if you're curious. Yeah, the upper casement on here is actually 150 millimeters, and with the sloping on it makes it effective 250 millimeters. So if you can get this thing hull down or behind a hill or something like that, and they're shooting at you with this rather small area to shoot at, most likely, unless they're firing heat or if there's maybe a tier 10, you're going to bounce it, unless, of course, for some reason in fucking wargaming's, I don't know, right around the outside of the gun mantlets, and even the gun mantlet itself can be penned, which is fucking odd. But yeah, this does get penned on occasion. But if they don't quite get it the right shot, they get off to the side. This has a tendency to bounce shots more times than not. Anything 6s and 7s, you're gonna fucking wreck if you're hull down. 8 starts to get a little, it might start getting some shots in, especially if they switch to premium. 9s, once again, still kind of they might, like I said, hit it with regular AP, might be alright. 10s, of course, they'll really have no problems. I mean, they're fucking 10s, right? Yeah, so that's kind of one of the unique things about this tank. You do have mobility, you do have decent upper armor, and you do have a massively epic fucking boomstick. Mobility, this is also a Greek fucking tragedy. What they did to this tank after they changed the engines and all that other crap. This used to be a little bit quicker, a little bit better maneuverability, but hey, it's still pretty damn good. 56 tons fully loaded, 700 engine brake horse, 700 engines, 13.05 for specific power, 55 top speed, 12 in reverse, and a 46.27. Before, this thing used to be able to, if you had a light tank or a medium, you tried to circle one of these, you got fucked every time. They kind of nerfed that a little bit with the engine horsepower and all that kind of stuff, and it's not quite as quick and mobile as it used to be. Concealment, not the best, but it is doable. And you'll watch in the video what I'm talking about, you know, and of course, I'm just running a basic camo skills on my crew. I don't, you know, and the camo I bought, I don't have a camo net and all that kind of stuff, but yeah, it's definitely doable. Spotting 437, once again, fuck you, Wargaming, and your nerf to TD spotting range. I used to have this thing with all the crew skills and fucking binocs up to like 465, almost 470 view range. But yeah, they kind of fucked that. So I do use kind of an odd setup here. I use coated optics because of the mobility of this tank, and you're always on the move. Yeah, you can use telescopic if you want, but I prefer the coated optics just because I do move a lot in this tank, especially if I'm top tier or, you know, that kind of stuff. So yeah, this has a tendency to be a little bit more mobile, and that's what I love about this tank. You can play this as a medium. You don't have to sit in the back, especially if you're top tier. You just fucking go bully shit. But yeah, you don't have to be sitting behind a bush somewhere. You can play this thing up in the front and essentially play as a medium with a big 128 millimeter. There's nothing better than seeing a T-54 go, oh shit, and then try to back up. Right? I mean, yeah, it's just awesome. And then of course the rammers and the vents and all that kind of stuff. So, like I said, my favorite tank in game, bar none. This is my happy tank. I go to this place when I'm having a bad night. I can get into it, rack up fucking high caliber medals left and right, top guns, you name it. This thing is just fucking wicked. So I'm going to bring up the gameplay for you guys to check out the Jadgpanther 2. Hey ladies and gents, back with the gameplay with the JP2. I did make a mistake in the first part of the video. I'm sorry, I just realized it myself. The Hetzer, the Martyr 2 was built on the PZ2 chassis. So, sorry for the mistake. I'll put it down in the description, and I'm not going to fucking record it because it was like 15 minutes of me blathering, so yeah. So, we are back with the Westfields. Tier 9 battle, down here toward the bottom, because, you know, 9s love feasting on me. Now, this is going to be kind of a fucking tough match. More specifically, because I'm going to be playing against, there's some better players on their team that are a little bit higher tier tanks, so we're going to have to work our ass off here. But that's alright. I'm in the JP2. I don't care. We got an ML2, an M46 pad, and a T54 E1 and a torque versus the 705, the 30, and the T30. That's always kind of a pain in the ass. The T30s on this map are to kind of rule because with that gun depression and that big 750 Alpha, they have a pretty good time on this map. So I don't typically go over to support the medium line. I find that the 9-0 is not really conducive to winning. Typically the stuff here on the top is. And then I'm going to pull back here, and this is what I mean by that 6.5 degrees of gun depression and a little bit of a hill like this. It puts myself in a position to really wreck some stuff. I have a nice hold down position here. I'm angled backwards. If I do get shot, most likely I'm going to bounce anything unless they hit my hull. So, can't quite get a shot in the T30. Kind of sitting here going, well, what am I going to do? My torque has gone down the hill to be a sniper. I mean, you know, 2,000 hit points and 120 millimeter with the highest DPM in game. Okay. Pull up here, and I'm going to try to help these guys out. I got the ammo here. He's trying to play the little peeky pokey here and try to get over the hill. He's got a nice turret on his, but with a really shitty reload. They have a 705, of course the T30's here. So 2 of their 9s are here against the ML2. The IS-6, I have no idea what the fuck he's up to. I was hoping to get a little bit of a shot here on the IS-3, but he doesn't quite pull over. T30 is always a danger, and I'm usually when I'm in this situation, I prefer to focus out the tier 9s as much as possible. So I'm waiting here. I'm hoping to see the T30 show up. ML2, I'm sure at some point he's just reloaded here, and now he's starting to work him over. The IS-6, he had not a fucking chance in hell against the 705. I think I would have been him. I think I would have chose my position a little bit differently here. Waiting for the IS-3. It does get my first kill of the game. The gun traverse on here is only 10 degrees, so it's kind of a pain in the ass to get it to work sometimes, but you get used to it. And once you do get used to it, you realize just how effective this tank can be. Like I said, I'm in a nice position here. I have some decent camo on this thing. So yeah, I'm just going to sit here and wait until pick up the M6. Missed the first shot on the M6. Oh, shit. They nailed Emil. Emil's kind of outclassed here because of the number of tanks. That's alright. He gives me his side. Put a nice 447 into him. Oh, but now they're going to rush. And I still haven't been spotted. And this, like I said, once again, the good camo on here. One of the T30, but I'll take the 705. They've pushed in on the T32, and he's kind of fucked. I can't really help him here. All I can do is just start knocking out HP as fast as I can. Nail the 705, pull back again, in case I did get spotted. And I didn't, so I'm going to pull back up here on the, oh, there you go, buddy. Finish off the 705. Got me the T30. Still haven't been spotted. Okay, T30, what are you going to do? He's backing up here. Put a nice shell into him. I only get 199 of him, but hey, that's alright. He's fucking dead. Oh, come on, come on, come on, come on. Reload's almost there. Nope, not quite. We're just going to see if we can plop a shell into him. Can't quite get it. So now I'm going to pull up here. And you know, with the camo rating of this and my view range, more times than not, I spend a lot of time being a... I can spot with this thing. So I pull up. T28 doesn't have an idea that I'm here. Put a nice almost 500 into him. I got the Tort and the Scorpion, and of course the T28's like, what the fuck is spotting me? So I pick up shell into the T28's lower hull. For some reason, completely missed it and ended up in the dirt. And now I'm here. I'm just trying to keep him lit. Unfortunately, there's a bush there, and I don't want to get too far up here. Otherwise, I'm going to get spotted. So we're just going to be a little bit more passive here and see what happens. Yeah, we are currently pretty much tied 6-6 right now. They have the fields, and this is kind of what I was talking about, the field here. We've stopped this push. We've killed 2 of their tier 9s. Yeah, we're looking pretty good. We got 3 left. They got 1 left. So the game is not, I shouldn't say in the bag, but it does help quite a bit. Pick up the T28 coming through here. Oh, there we go. Put the fucking shell into him, and I can't believe I actually missed that. I finally get spotted by the M6. Start backing up here. Let's see if I can try to get the T-28 down here low enough where I can get the T-28s. He's pushing through on the Tort. Tort's like, yeah, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to shoot him. Tort finishes off the T-28 here, and now I'm looking for the M6. Pull back up into my bush here, get my... this is one of the nice things about using coated optics. I don't have to wait for it to show up. Pick up the AT-15 coming through here. He's going to give me the side, looking for that. Oh, never mind. Go right through his glacis, and not glacis, turret ring. Missed the second shot on him. Looking for him, can't find him. And they're pushing the AMX 1390 came up to the hill. Sitting about 3,200 right now, and we're sitting at 9.6. Yeah, we've pretty much finished them all off here. So I'm going to push down here with the Scorpion. Let's see what I can do here with the AT-15. I'm in pretty good, nice position here. I got a nice little ridge right here in front of me. Lets me come up here and take a shot. Oh, I should have waited till he popped before I shot. Fortunately, I didn't. And now he's on the run. AMX 1390 gets him. And it's still 11-7 right now. I'm at 3 kills. And we got 4 tanks left. Let's see what we can do with this. The other side has kind of been playing a little bit. And this is the problem I have with the 9-0 line. It's just not a real great way to win this map. It's hard to push against that open field out there. So I'm going to pull over here to the edge here and see if I can pick up some tanks. Find the T-26E4. Oh, boom. Yeah. 339 on the E4. It's about 35-51. We have the AMX-30 Strev left, and of course the artillery wherever he's hiding. So I'll pull over here, try to stay somewhat out of spotting range, at least until we get a little bit closer to the mediums, get a little bit over there, start spotting some stuff here. Start here is looking for maybe come on bushes. Hopefully he's going to get spotted, and I can at least finish somebody off. I'll pick up the MX-30. Oh, there he is. Put a shell into him. Kind of a snapshot. Bullshit RNG. What are you going to do? I should have waited. That was a much tastier target right there. But he's dead. So all we have now is the Strev, and just shy of a Top Gun. See if they'll let me have it. Probably not. Put the first shell in there at 506. And end up with a nice 4,270 damage in a tier 9 match and a high caliber for my efforts. I just fucking love this tank. It's so fucking wicked. So one more replay for you guys to check out the JP2. Hey guys, back with the second game in the JP2, and this is, of course, I finally get a top tier match, one of the for the JP2. Yeah. What are you gonna do? Right? That's fucking 357 matchmaker just killed me. So, but yeah, I can't complain. I finally got a top tier match in this gank tank. And this is really where this thing fucking just goes nuts for being a bully. There's not a whole lot of things you run into at tier... I mean, the ISU 152's got a big derp gun. T-34, of course, hold down's a bitch. But for the most part, if you are a top tier tank in this... Who the fuck paints their Jackson purple? Really? Oh, wow. We're gonna move on over here to the sniper hill, I should call it, and see if we can get some early shots on anything that gets lit. I of course have an E5 with me and an M4 Rev. We're gonna move over here and see what we can scare up over here on this side of the ridge. Yeah, you know, and like I said, with the versatility of this tank and its mobility, you can not only, you know, the last game I was showing a little bit of its its camo rating and that kind of stuff. This one I'm going to kind of highlight more along the lines of its mobility. And I'm going to start looking here in the back here. That's usually where the TDs like to sit, is back there in that bush. I want to back up here so I don't want to get the Panther spotted. However, we do pick up the IK-65 too. And he's like, oh fuck, I got spotted. That's alright. God, I would hate to be a fucking tier 6 battle having to deal with this 128mm. I guess it's better than the ISU 152's 152mm, who would have just one-shotted most of the tanks at this tier, at 6 at least. So we got two Panthers here. They're teamed up together, Mr. J. Armstrong and Mortem, Anti-Mortem, maybe. So the T-34-85M, he's getting kind of cheeky here. I would have probably stopped poking after the first time, but no, he's not going to call. Oh, he's stopping right there every time. So we're just going to, yeah, there we go. We'll just put a 524 into you. Maybe you won't poke anymore. maybe not. We'll see. So the other side is actually, we have a fair amount of tanks on the other side. They have a T-34, an ISU-152, and a Tiger 131 over there. So, yeah, there's a 3 on 5. I guess we'll see how this goes. I'm looking here to support these guys as much as possible. About that time I noticed the 416 sitting there. Here we go. Oh, there you are. And I'm a little bit off on my shot. I get him in the track. That's alright. Apparently he doesn't carry a repair kit. What the fuck, really? Oh, that's alright. We'll put a fucking 517 into his lower plate and kind of makes him back off a little bit here. So now we got the 2 Panthers. He's the Object 416, of course, is sitting at 1 shot. And now it's time to get a little bit more aggressive here. The E5 is, of course, been facing off against these guys. And now, like I said, I can get into the battle. We've cleaned up. I don't have to worry. I've noticed where the ISU-152 is. So I'll pull around in here, find the 416, put the shell into him, finish him off. And now we got the 2 Panthers here. Oh, shit. My bad. He puts a shell into my side. That's alright. We're going to come around the corner here and put a nice 433 into him. Put him at a 1 shot for the E5. Hopefully the E5 finishes him off. Maybe. Yep, E5 finishes him off. We got 1 more Panther up on the top. I'm kind of worried about the Jackson. He seems to be looking here, so I'm going to try to stay down a little bit low here. I'm going to try to squeeze a shot under the track. Oh, he dies before I get a fat chance to finish him off. Jackson, alright, buddy. You've been sitting there waiting for a while here. Auto lock onto him. I'm just going to pop over the hill here and see if I can put a shell into him. Ooh, there's the ISU-122S. He can be kind of a pain. Put a nice 482 into him. And we're just going to back up here and go a little bit of hull down. He misses me. It's alright. He's still sitting there. He's trash. Doesn't matter. Finish him off. And now I have the Jackson with a whopping 18 in front of me. I do see a little bit already, but I was like, you know what? Nah, I'm just going to... Oh, damn you, Ridge. Anyway, Jackson gets away from me. But I do have an artillery. And not that I don't like shooting them, but I do like shooting them. Pull up in here. Pick up the SU-14. Oh, yeah, there we go. And now I have the E-25. He is wrecking our E-25. So I'm going to pull over here and see what I can do. Look in here. Where are you going? Where are you going, buddy? Oh, just a little outside on the backside. And he's on the run. So, 3 tanks left. We're up 12-7. And about 3,300 damage. And like I said, this is what this tank does. 4 kills. It just racks up kills and damage, especially if you're top tier. You're fucking bully. Yeah, one of those kind of deals. But however, like I said, it's effective in all tiers. Whether you're shooting tier 10s or shooting tier 6s. It doesn't really matter. The 128mm does not give a fuck. So, we're going to go and... they've all decided to go cap. So they got 3 on cap. I got 30 seconds to do a little bit more damage here. So I'm just kind of trying to be fucking kind of a damage whore here. Heading for the Tiger 131. And we're going to put stop. Come on, aim. And I fucking hit the ground. What? Oh, that sucks. Tiger 1 misses. T-34 misses. They hit my track. Put a shell into the Tiger 131. Fix my track. Back up here. Here's the T-34. He's probably got the reload on me. Maybe. He's going to come around the corner. Oh, we'll put a shot into him. 527. There we go. I would have finished him off the next shot. But anyway, 4,400 damage game in the Epic JP2. And thanks for watching, guys.